When did you realize your friends were actually fake friends? When I got sober. 7 months today. Edit, I always promised myself I wouldn't edit to say thank you, but here we are. Thank you for all the love and kind words, it's brought several tears to my eyes. I was invited to the bachelorette party for one of the friends in this group. While at the party, I figured out that I was the only person not invited to the wedding. I had been invited to the party because they needed another person to chip in for expenses. When I was a kid, about 4th grade, the cool kids wanted to come play Sega at my house. A game or two disappeared, but I never put 2 and 2 together. Later they suggested that we all go to 4X's house and steal games from him. Then it all made sense. Now that I think about this experience, I wonder if that's why I've had trust issues my whole life. When I stopped going to church and 95% of them never spoke to me again. My friend was constantly talking about our entire friend group behind our back. Only 2 girls really stuck with her, and we still wanted to be friends with the 2 girls, so me and 2 other girls, were sort of dragged along. Finally one of the 2 girls actually moved to a whole other city because of her friend, and the other just became sensible. Haven't talked to her in a while. She was also touching all the other girls in really inappropriate areas. We were in like grade 5. Turns out how everyone was making fun of her, calling her gay. I mean, we were 11, we didn't understand homophobia, she actually was gay. I had a lot of friends back then until I was on the edge and I almost lost my sanity and no one was there for me. After I got back on my feet and turned my life around, these bitches started showing up again asking favors. I had the same group of 3 friends since elementary school, but that was because I was very introverted and didn't make any other friends, so I stuck with them for 10+ years. However, I was considered the weirdo of the group, constantly belittled, they would accidentally hit me or throw me down. Anyways, even in high school I was the joke of the group, my life problems were brought up and laughed at, and at this point I started distancing myself from all of them. Once we graduated high school I told myself that I will never speak to them again, which I did, and truthfully I miss having a group of friends. I have no friends now, but I'm so glad I'm not friends with fake people who hurt me day in and out. Anyways, 4 years later, they still talk shit about me leaving their friend group, because apparently I think I'm better than them. Lol, it's pretty ridiculous that they think they're entitled to my friendship when all they did was hurt me for years. When they carried on being friends with the guy who sexually assaulted me. She encouraged me to apply for a job, got angry at me for getting the job, and then ghosted me. I lost all my friends back in high school once I got with my partner. They didn't like him and would say we would break up in no time while saying it to my face. They stopped hanging out with me and avoided me at school. Sucks cause the guy didn't even go to the same school. Jokes on them cause I actually married him and had children with him, couldn't be more happier without them now. I got sober and had multiple friends who still say they would support me and my sobriety and wouldn't use around me. I do not blame my friend fully, but I really should have realized this would never work with the one friend who's selling the shit. I was sober for 6 months and then had a rough day. I asked him to bring me weed, he showed up with heroin. I almost OD'd that night. I'll have 30 days again on the 12th though, smile. I realized when the only time I'd hear from them is when they needed something from me. I had what I thought was a very good group of friends throughout high school and college. After college, the only time I'd hear from them was when something was broken, or they needed help. They got a new TV, and needed it set up. Or their computer was acting up and wanted me to look at it. Or they were drywalling their basement and needed a set of hands. Not once over the course of about a year was there a single call for "Hey, you want to hang out tonight?" or "Hey, let's go out for dinner." Quickly moved them into the acquaintance category. I'd say I probably have 2 true friends. The kind who I'd bail out of jail with no questions asked, or they'd help me hide a body if it ever came to that. A few years ago, I have invited my friends to the cinema. There was cool movie, so my friends accepted my offer. Then they all went together to the cinema to see this movie at another time without me. Asked my oldest friend to be my best man and he said he couldn't. Said he just wasn't into it. I had a pretty bad bout of depression, the kind where it's insanely hard not to just drive into a wall, and tried to talk about it to a dude I considered my best mate at the time. He pretty much just said I was being stupid and ignored me for the rest of the drinks. I noticed a week later no one in the group was texting me, so I thought I'd see how long until they noticed I wasn't around. I ended up confronting one of them a year later, expressing how disappointed I was and that was the last time I saw, spoke or heard from many of them since. Oh, about another year after that one of my exes that was in the group tried to be friends, so I let something slip, and sure enough, through a friend of a friend, she had been talking about it to the old friend group. I texted her later that week to say I don't think we can be mates anymore as I'd need someone trustworthy and not just someone looking for gossip fodder. Mom friendling is hard and I didn't realize how fake some of them were until I met the one who actually cared to learn about me and didn't just talk about herself the whole time. The others know virtually nothing about me except the names of my kids. And since I have 3, that may be iffy too. When my longtime friend called me and said hey can you hang out? No one else can. They started to exclude other members of the group for no reason, or which they disclosed to work through like normal adults, which had a knock-on effect, couldn't invite one without the other as they were closer. The day we all met up over summer and they started exchanging gifts from holidays we weren't aware that they'd gone on, I decided I was done. At college, 4 years ago, I had some typical bro mates, /boy mates. It was alright that they were douchey because I was a douche at the time myself. I managed to land myself my, still, current partner, beautiful, funny, smart. We had been dating for about 6 months, at this point. We went for a night out as you normally do. Couple days later, GF told me that one of my so-called mates tried hitting on her when I wasn't around. He played it off as just drunk and I'm sorry bro. But GF had told me that he said to her, my GF's friend was there as a witness, BTW, that me, doesn't need to know. Kind of brought me to my senses, that I needed to grow up and move away from these idiots because they do not care about anyone but themselves. Talked about me behind my back. When they would drink and feel a little more loose and fun, they would pull out the mock Asian accent. And use it for everything, even if we weren't about Asian-related things. FYI, I'm Asian and they are white. When my brother made up lies about me to score a girlfriend. Legit fuck both of them. That was when I started seeing my other friend's attitude changing. I asked him what is happening, then he told me that a girl, that I thought is my best friend, talks shit about me with other people. This is my mother's story. So my mother had 2 friends she frequently visited, twice a month, but one of them was bitching on her saying that she is a bad person and that stuff, and the other friend believed her. One night we went to visit them and they were talking so little with her and she knew that they didn't think of her as a friend anymore. 3 years later we moved, not so far, and my mother saw the friend that believed the bitch and they just walked quickly away from my mom. And worst of all, I played with their kids, sort of like a big bro, and they wanted to at least to say hello, and the husband as well, but she dragged them. It sucks that some friendships end because of bitches like her and the husbands plus children can't do anything. TLDR. A bitch friend manipulated the thinking of a friend to hate my mother and she stopped hanging out with them. I hit a rough patch and I will and did admit that I needed to fix it. So I started working on it and she said she would still be my friend. But suddenly she has no time to talk, and now every little thing is blown out of proportion and I need to fix that too. Finally had enough and just said fuck it, if you can't spare 5 minutes a week to talk to me and call it devotion, then I'm not going to try. Oh, and she kept my reptile tank that I loaned to her until she got a better one for her animal. Middle school. I hung out with a group who treated me like dog shit. I was always the one getting made fun of, the group punching bag, that sort of thing. I hung out with them because they were the only friends I had. Then I woke up one day and realized they all sucked. So at lunch I went up to them, told them they were all dickheads. I got laughed at, but I went and sat alone. I was alone all the way until junior year of high school when I told my parents that the big city wasn't for me. So my amazing parents sacrificed everything and moved up to Montana. I showed up to a small school and didn't know a soul. I decided to join the football team. That was the best choice I ever made. I met all new friends, who I'm still friends with 15 years later.
With